It was a quiet Wednesday morning in New York. Brian Thompson was on his way to a conference. He was the CEO of United Healthcare. It was just another day for him. It turned out to be his last. He was gunned down outside a Manhattan hotel. The suspect is a 26-year-old man named Luigi Mangione. Bullet casings left at the scene bore cryptic messages: deny, defend, depose. That's what they said. Deny, defend, depose. The symbolism was as chilling as the act itself. We told you about the suspect yesterday, how he's become a bit of a hero, inspiring merchandise on Amazon. And while killing someone cannot be the solution, this case also shows the widespread anger against the healthcare industry in the U.S. And this realization has triggered widespread panic. Corporate America is nervous. CEOs are on high alert. Healthcare may be the target now. But others worry if they would be next.
There may be some liability back on his company. The fact that they knew he was getting threats, was it known to them? And did the board not then provide security at an event that was known?
Brian Thompson had received threats before, multiple times according to his wife, but he did not have a security detail. He was walking alone to the hotel, and that's because corporate security is often a touchy issue. CEOs may be assigned bodyguards in some cases, but they see them as a hassle. Many even look at it as an unnecessary expense. Some others are said to have a false sense of security. They believe that their company is too small or that basic protections are sufficient. Brian Thompson could have had any of these reasons to not have a security detail, but the killing has raised questions. Are corporate leaders safe? And if not, what are they and their companies doing about it? In the wake of this killing, they're re-evaluating their security measures. Some are hiring personal bodyguards. Others are getting company-mandated security details. And this, of course, is boosting the business of U.S. security firms. They're reporting an unprecedented demand. One firm received 70 requests from concerned companies within 36 hours, 70 requests. So that's one aspect that companies are looking at, physical security. Another thing CEOs are increasingly wary of is their digital footprint, where they are, where they live, where they go, who they're meeting. Companies are scrubbing this information off their websites. And not just that, some companies are also removing the pictures and bios of their executives altogether. Take United Healthcare, for example. They used to have an About Us page, which included details of Brian Thompson. Now it just talks about the company. Same for C.O.W.S. It has removed the bios of executives from the website. So both companies and CEOs are genuinely spooked, it seems. They're taking their security seriously, which brings us to the question, how much does it cost to really protect a CEO? You can say it's not cheap. Full-time executive protection can cost up to $250,000 annually. $250,000 a year. And it's not just about the top executive anymore. Division leaders, board members, they're all being seen as potential targets.
I think you're going to see a lot more threats out there. Threats are, again, to scare people in the industry that you're mad at. Now they can reference this. The threat can come in. You saw what happened to him in New York. I'm going to do that to you. And the companies now have to, one, it's going to scare the executives more. And the companies now have to look at spending money for security. So I think those threats are going to increase.
So security is definitely priority number one now. But this shooting has spurred another trend as well. Some leaders are rejecting the corner office altogether. They no longer want to be the CEO, especially in polarizing industries like healthcare or insurance. While Thompson's death is a watershed moment, this is not an isolated incident. This is not the first such incident over the last decade. Threats to CEOs have been rising. And this is fueled by societal divides and digital accessibility. So many are said to be rejecting the top job. They say they already have lucrative careers. They don't think the tag is worth the risk. But is all of this just a knee-jerk reaction to a shooting, or will this heightened awareness last? Security experts warn that America has a short memory. The current panic might fade soon, until, God forbid, the next such case happens.
Hand me all your Christmases, be white.
Santa isn't the only one who has to work on Christmas. Clergy, law enforcement, healthcare. The morning edition host who draws the short straw. That ain't me. Lots of people work the holidays while most everyone else is home celebrating baby Jesus or the victory of the Maccabees or the 7 principles of African heritage.
My name is Juan de la Cruz. I am the Director of Emergency Relief Services here at Coalition for the Homeless.
De la Cruz also works over the holidays. He's been helping feed unhoused people in New York City for 20 years. He remembers one poignant moment from a Christmas years ago.
A grandmother was trying to get a doll for her granddaughter. African-American grandmother, and I was able to find her an African-American doll. We're serving out of a van at that point. It's about 8:30 at night, and we have gone through a good portion of the toys that we have. So just being able to reach in and kind of take that extra few minutes to look, and that really touched her.
Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice. Abby Cruz is a firefighter and EMT in Houston. She has lots of stories of answering calls on Christmas and says many of them are happy.
Unfortunately, there are some sad ones where families have lost a member. However, they are very appreciative that we're there to help that person, to console them. And I know one year we went back to an elderly person. She lost her son, and we went back and had coffee and bread with her. So she was very appreciative of that.
Cruz says those little moments, even the ones born from tragedy, are like gifts. For Brianne Momberger, Christmas is turtle doves and French hens and partridges in a pear tree. She's an aviculturist.
An aviculturist is someone who specializes in the care and husbandry of birds.
And she does that at the National Aquarium in Baltimore with the birds in their exhibit on Australia, who need their fruit and insects no matter what day it is.
I usually encourage my friends and family to make their plans without me, but hopefully I'll make it for most of the best bits, and hopefully the time that I do spend with them is extra special because I was able to be a part of it.
So to everyone who may find themselves on the clock this week, thank you for what you do. And we hope you find a moment of your own to celebrate.
Deep in the heart. What'd you say now? I said deep in the heart. I can't hear you. Deep in the heart. Where's that? Of Texas.
Operation Lone Star is intended to deter illegal immigration through the U.S. southern border. And over the last 3 years, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has mobilized thousands of National Guard troops to fulfill its mission. But the mobilization has taken a toll on some soldiers. At least 17 Texas National Guardsmen have died during the border mission, a number of them by suicide. Texas Public Radio's Gabriela Alcorta-Solario reports.
Every month, about a dozen residents of Eagle Pass, Texas, come to this spot on the Rio Grande to pay tribute to those who have lost their lives trying to cross.
Through our prayers and through our presence here, that God will extend His touch to the families.
These vigils usually memorialize migrants, but this one also paid tribute to another group.
Even though we focus on the immigrants, but we also understand that the pressure that the National Guard people are going through, because it's not easy to see people drown.
Pastor Javier Leyva spoke next to the Eagle Pass boat ramp, where Bishop Evans, a 22-year-old National Guardsman, drowned trying to save 2 migrants. Evans is among at least 17 troops who have died while mobilized to Operation Lone Star. The deaths include at least 7 suicides, 2 accidental shootings, and 2 motor vehicle accidents. The Texas Military Department would not answer our questions about the deaths or the conditions of the deployment, but several Guard members agreed to talk. They requested that NPR withhold their names and distort their voices because they fear retaliation. This soldier knew Bishop Evans.
That one hurt because he was well liked by a lot of the guys that he was on. So a lot of the guys just got really, really down from that, just losing someone you're always gonna. It's never good news.
Another soldier witnessed the death of 19-year-old Dejon Towns, who died in an accidental shooting with his own personal firearm.
When we requested that we stop training because someone had died from an event that was not even supposed to have guns, we were told to shut the up, sit there, and keep doing your job as if nothing happened.
In a statement regarding the deaths, Governor Abbott's office commended the Guardsmen for protecting the country from what it called the consequences of the Biden-Harris administration's dangerous open borders policy. The statement also said Abbott was proud to sign a law called the Bishop Evans Act that provides families of dead National Guardsmen a one-time payment of $500,000. But the military department told state lawmakers that of the 17 deaths, 10 claims were filed before the act was passed, while 6 were denied and deemed not mission-related. Suicide is a leading cause of death among service members as a whole, but some observers say the nature of the border mission can especially affect soldiers' mental health. Ari Sawyer, formerly with Human Rights Watch, is an expert in immigration policy.
The only way to stop these suicides is to stop forcing them to carry out these violent policies against their fellow human beings.
President-elect Trump says he plans to use the military to carry out mass deportations and secure the border. Sawyer says Operation Lone Star has shown one of the risks of that.
To the extent that the military is tasked with immigration enforcement in the United States, we will see more and more suicides, especially because, the country is really polarized on this issue. And so there's a sense of also rejection and isolation.
The Guardsman who witnessed Dejon Towns' shooting says he felt ostracized because he spoke out about how troops were treated. He eventually left Operation Lone Star after experiencing depression and PTSD.
No matter how hard I tried, it was never enough.
Because he was deployed on state orders, he did not receive disability benefits, and his conditions were deemed not service-connected. He once wanted to make the military a career, but says Operation Lone Star changed his mind. For NPR News, I'm Gabriela Alcorta Solorio in San Antonio.
If you or someone you know may be considering suicide or is in crisis, you can call or text 3 numbers, 988, just those numbers, 988, to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Invest in the Context of White Supremacy radio program. Constructive information on what racism, white supremacy is, and how it works. Visit the blog at racism-notes.blogspot.com. That's racism-notes.blogspot.com. PayPal button is in the top right corner. Links for Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal are below. Gus's wish list is at Amazon under Gus T. Renegade. 15 years and counting of counter-racist content. For over a decade, our favorite black brother Gus T has told us, white people don't care about children. A jury on Monday found Seattle Children's Hospital created a hostile work environment based on race against Dr. Benjamin Danielson, the former medical director of the hospital's Odessa Brown Children's Clinic. The jury awarded $21 million in damages in the racial discrimination case, concluding a weeks-long trial that centered on the effects of systemic racism in the workplace and in healthcare, and the hospital's responsibility to address it. "I'm in shock," Danielson said in an interview shortly after the verdict was read. "I'm full of deep gratitude to the jury. There have been so many amazing people from the community, from this journey, willing to show up." Danielson, who is black, led the clinic for over 2 decades, positioning himself as a well-known advocate for increasing healthcare access for marginalized communities. Founded more than 50 years ago, and named after a prominent community organizer who called attention to the disparate treatment and health outcomes of black people. The Odessa Brown Children's Clinic primarily serves families of color and low-income families. Danielson sued the hospital system last year after resigning in November 2020, accusing Seattle Children's of allowing institutional racism to fester for years and retaliating against him when he called attention to it. His resignation set off a wave of public outcry and spurred the hospital system to launch an independent investigation. After the verdict was read, the 2 parties gathered on opposite ends of the hallway outside the courtroom. After a few minutes, Danielson, his wife, and his attorneys reacted to the decision with hugs and laughter. Down the hall, a team from Children's sat quietly. As the region's largest independent nonprofit children's hospital, our priority is to ensure every child has access to high quality, equitable care regardless of the ability to pay and to support the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic mission to deliver quality care with dignity, a children's spokesperson said in a statement following the verdict. The statement continued, Based on the lack of evidence presented, we are extremely disappointed in this extraordinary award and are evaluating our options. Danielson said that while he was thankful for the support of his wife and team of lawyers, the trial was not easy to endure. I did not anticipate how much re-traumatization it'd be and how hard it'd be to have those things negated, he said. Hostile workplace or frustrated leader? In his lawsuit, Danielson alleged the hospital created a hostile work environment, including by permitting the use of racial slurs, failing to remedy known incidents of systemic racism, fostering an environment of conformity to the status quo of racial inequity, and subjecting its black and brown employees to a double standard of conduct. He had to show up at an institution every day for work where racial issues were so pervasive and so predominant that it made it difficult for him as a black man to go into a white space, said Rebecca Rowe, one of Danielson's attorneys, during closing statements Thursday. Attorneys representing Seattle Children's attacked those claims during the trial. The hospital argued Danielson is a talented, charismatic pediatrician who refused feedback on his leadership and who was frustrated to not have complete control over funding decisions related to the clinic and its expansion to a second location. He didn't quit because he needed to do so in order to force change, in order to compel a reckoning, said Portia Moore, an attorney representing Seattle Children's, during closing statements. He quit because he realized that he would no longer be able to unilaterally dictate how OBCC, including OBCC Othello, would be run. Attorneys for both parties agreed in closing statements. Systemic racism is pervasive in America. Their arguments diverged from there. Danielson's attorneys presented evidence and offered witness testimonies that they say illustrate a workplace rife with disparities and repeatedly failing to address a culture of racism. Danielson alleged when he and others expressed concerns money raised to expand the clinic's services and build a second site was not being spent on the clinic, which they considered to be an equity issue. Hospital leaders retaliated against him and launched an investigation into his leadership. The hospital system chose to sweep misconduct under the rug when it learned of allegations that Dr. Jim Hendricks, then president of Seattle Children's Research Institute, referred to Danielson by a racial slur for black people in 2009, his lawyer Rowe argued in closing statements. Hendricks was forced to resign in 2021 after Danielson's allegations of the incident publicly surfaced. Hendricks denies having used the racial slur. Rowe also argued the hospital was slow to address the disproportionate use of security against black people, and reiterated testimony that people with sickle cell disease, a blood disorder that can cause severe pain and that overwhelmingly affects black people, were under-medicated because of a racial stereotype that they or their families were drug-seeking. Danielson's attorneys pointed to the summary of the independent investigation conducted by former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder's law firm. That investigation found the Seattle Children's culture of conflict, avoidance, and failure to address microaggressions, combined with widespread distrust in the human resources function, contributes to an environment that excludes and undervalues BIPOC workforce members, among other issues. The full report was never released publicly by the hospital, despite calls for transparency from a group of community members who oversaw the investigation, including Urban Indian Health Institute Director Abigail Echo Hawk. They should have absolutely released the report. Seattle Children's Hospital lied to the community when they said they were going to be transparent. And this trial is evidence of that, Echo Hawk said Thursday, who attended closing statements to support Danielson. Gaps in evidence. Seattle Children's lawyers criticized the case for what they perceived as gaps in evidence, arguing Danielson's team had failed to prove he had personally experienced incidents of racism outside of the isolated racial slur incident. In their closing statement, Seattle Children's said Danielson's attorneys had not met their burden of proving more probably true than not true that a Seattle Children's leader either participated in the language or conduct related to race that was unwelcome or offensive, or that management knew about or should have known about such issues and failed to address them. The hospital argued it launched its investigation into Danielson in spring 2020 after receiving complaints from staff members. The hospital first received alleged HIPAA violation complaints related to him discussing 2 employees' COVID diagnoses as part of the clinic's contact tracing measures. The hospital then received a complaint from a different employee alleging Danielson had retaliated against her and treated other black female clinic staff members less favorably. The internal investigation found Danielson had violated policy when he disclosed personal health information and partially substantiated the allegation of retaliation, according to the hospital's trial brief. It did not substantiate allegations that he treated women of color less favorably. Seattle Children's attorneys noted Danielson is not technically an employee of the hospital system, but is employed by the University of Washington. Danielson's lawyers said that was not relevant to the case, contending Seattle Children's had control of Danielson's workplace. Moore asked the jury to consider why Danielson remained at the hospital under Hendricks after learning about the alleged incident where he was referred to by a racial slur, and why he did not submit ethics complaints when he was told of patient complaints of possible bias from other doctors. She also suggested that Danielson, who had influence and power as the clinic's leader, had some personal responsibility himself to address these issues. Dr. Shaquita Bell, who now leads the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic, testified for the hospital, saying when she took over as medical director of the Seattle Children's Center for Diversity and Health in 2018, she felt the hospital system was committed to addressing racial disparities in care and that she was supported and given a clear directive to make improvements. In a statement following the verdict, Danielson's team of attorneys thanked their witnesses, the jurors and the community members who stood by Dr. Danielson's side against racism. "This is what a reckoning looks like," they said in the statement. While he was grateful for the jury decision and stunned at the amount of money awarded, Danielson said there are a lot of other people who suffer more in situations like this. "This does not fix racism," he said. "These are wounds we'll carry the rest of our lives in some ways."
Wounds we shall carry for the rest of our lives, he said. Wounds we shall carry. Dr. Daniels. Man. Context of White Supremacy, Gus T. Renegade, in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Friday, December 27, 2024, so I have been told. Our weekly broadcast, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. If you have figured out, or one, hopefully we have lots of non-white people who didn't have to work at all, maybe even got lucky enough you didn't have to work for the entire week, or at least, half of it, 3-4 days off, maybe. Then you can just cheat and take off today too, because really, why would Friday matter that much, given, we spent half the week drunk, drinking sour eggnog, complaining about what we didn't get, watching brain damage football, and then next week a lot of people get off for New Year's Eve and or New Year's Day, so hey, hopefully you are in that number. Use the time constructively if you don't have to be on the plantation directly, where you can get adequate rest, you can cook a little bit, maybe spend constructive time with your family and such. If you have healthcare practitioners in your family, you can talk about Dr. Danielson's case out here in Seattle. Like, what in the world? $21 million in damages? Wow. That's some wounds, right? Number to dial, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Drop us a line. We'll share if you have thoughts, suggestions, observations let us know. One thing I will say, I find so out of this world revolting. There will be so many people, they will have commentary on television and what non-white immigrants, so-called, that they dislike and think hate black people this week or whatever else, would pretend black people to talk about. They'll have all this television programs that we need to complain about. And, they did Denzel wrong in Gladiator 2, man. All this. Workplace suggestions? Things to deal with Whitey on the job? Tends to be a lot less to say when it gets to labor. That would be another one I would chalk up. Are we really serious about addressing racism, white supremacy? For years I've asked too, like, are there other resources? Gus T might not know what he's talking about. Maybe that's just it. Are there other non-white people, victims of racism, who have constructive information on racism in the workplace? I've listed resources before, asked other people, are there other resources? Do people look for this sort of thing? That's generally what happens. Got to do better. Maybe we can do better. 2025, we can do better, perhaps, maybe. We'll see. Do our part at least. If you have difficulty dialing in, you can always use the app-free conference call HD. Download the app for free. They have it for iPhone or Android. Download it once you get it on your device. It looks just like a phone. You'll see the dial pad on the screen. Same number, 605-313-5164. Same code, 564943 pound. Same procedure, press star 61 if you'd like to participate, and we can get you on the line. If you have situations you've seen, things that worked out well, where you used your words, counter racist codification to solve problems, minimize problems, even with other non-white coworkers, maybe. But let us know. And navigating the holiday, that can be, prickly as well. You got those office holiday parties, and they got to make you come after work, or maybe sometimes they do it during work. Let us know how you dealt with all that, decorations included. I guess number 2, it is holiday season, they say. Kwanzaa even, they mentioned that in the clips. Sobriety checkpoints will be out. I would encourage everybody, you want to be sober. Sober. If you got to go out and about, especially late, I would get to one spot and stay there. You do not want to be driving around anywhere, really, in the U.S. hemisphere, perhaps globally, but certainly you don't want to be anywhere after 10:30, late at night. You get stopped by race soldiers, badge or no. You got to answer a whole lot of questions and all the rest. Come on. Forget that. Get to one spot, stay there, leave in the morning. Fresh, sober, safe. But tell that to the young folks, especially if you have newer drivers, just got that license and such, and want to go out and celebrate with their friends, maybe celebrate for the new year and all that, right? Just be safe. Just be safe. Sobriety checkpoints. Some of the clips that we heard at the beginning, I said the whole shooting of the insurance CEO, Brian Thompson, they've been, still talking about that, and charged Luigi Mangione, terrorism in New York and such. And they're talking about how many white CEOs have been influenced by this, and beefed up security, and checking our digital footprint so people can't be stalking us left and right, knowing our itinerary for the coming weeks and months, and plan some sort of attack on us. Wow, even saying some white people are saying, you know what, I don't even want that big CEO job, so they'll be looking for me and blaming me for all these problems. Like, I'm cool. I'm already white. I got a good life. I am cool. I have to see how much I believe that, for people classified as white. If they just start promoting a whole bunch of black people to the CEO office and such, put their name out, racial showcase, and then put it that black people are in charge, so that black people will be the ones stalked and shot, maybe I'll believe it. But What I do see is the security. I could easily see that where they have lots and lots more security for white people, where they will use this as justification. It probably will be impossible to meet with like a Jeff Bezos or something like that now. Like, nah. You're probably one of those crazy Stanford assassin people. Get on out of here. You can, mail your commentary and that sort of thing. I'll see a lot of that security measures. I think they had the same sort of response after 9/11. Gadgets to get people out of offices and that sort of thing. High-rise offices so they could escape. Let's see. We heard the report on all the folks who worked through the holidays. As I was listening to that report, I was like, man, does that include Gus T? Because we broadcasted today. We broadcasted for Boxing Day yesterday. And we broadcasted on the actual holiday, so-called White Jesus' birthday. So are we in that number, people who do not take a vacation? Anyway, I'm sure there are lots of non-white people, public transit workers. That's one. People who do like the subway and that sort of thing. Got to keep all that rolling. And other folks at hospitals, they said, first responders, enforcement officials, race soldiers. Lots of folks cranking right on through. I already said they got sobriety checkpoints out, so they are working too. Lots of folks worked right on through this. If you are in that number, I guess thanks for your service. I hope you got paid double time. They get holiday pay for a lot of people, so hopefully your bank account will be sparkling for the beginning of 2025. Use those nickels constructively. Hopefully everything is safe as you're out there doing, whatever it is your job requires for the holiday season. They even had some white people doing all kinds of jobs. We got to go out and feed the critters and all of this. And they said we structure the Thanksgiving meal around, my job, when we're going to eat and all the rest of it. Man, come on. Not into the holiday celebration. That wouldn't even be an issue for Gus T. Let's see. The next report, before we get to Seattle Children's Hospital, sorry. The report on the Lone Star officers, the Texas Rangers, where their job, I guess they didn't get a vacation over the holiday season either, where they have to go and round up all these immigrants and such. I've even flashback. Remember when they had the Haitian immigrants they were crossing at the southern border? That was a big to-do. I think that was at the beginning of the year, right? Right, remember? I think that might have included some of these folks. I have to go back and see which part, because I think they were coming through at the Texas region. I have to go back and look. He had the whip, right? He was chasing him down, like, get over here. I told you, get back down there. But they were saying that the impact that having this job, the toll it was taking on these enforcement officers, because they were saying some of the officers were out drowning trying to catch these folks, and then watching some of these folks who I presume are probably not white, watching them drown and all the rest of it, that, can take a mental toll in seeing all of this. They said some of the officers committed suicide and all the rest of it. Like, wow, that is, some of these jobs that would be something to consider. They have been saying that they're having an increasingly difficult time filling police officer jobs. That, probably counts in it for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, they said, we get tired of being called a racist. Got all these cell phone videos of us choking out George Floyd and all the rest of it. They said it's lots of a confluence of variables contributing to the difficulty in getting people for jobs like this. That doesn't even sound like, oh man, you got officers committing suicide because it's so stressful. Watching people die and drown and all the rest. Like, ugh. How much are you getting paid to do this job again? Come on, I'm good. That would be something to consider. Any of those types of jobs, you're doing enforcement, prison personnel, even at a juvenile facility. I know we have some people, and I believe they're in Texas. They work at a juvenile facility, and they were talking about the same sort of thing, where you have a really stressful job, and you might have to physically restrain people. You might get injured. The client might get injured. Somebody might get killed. That can be really taxing. nights where you're not able to sleep and nightmares and all that. Man, that's something to think about too. And how long do you want to work this sort of job? 1 year, 10 years? You going to retire on this job? Lots to consider. The last segment right here in Seattle. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. One, I'm super duper duper embarrassed because I do not know who Odessa Brown is. Homework assignment number 1 for Gus T, ASAP. Who is Odessa Brown? Go to the library. That's one, when I say local, like they should have all kinds of reports and such. The big ribbon cutting ceremony when this was named Odessa Brown, and who she was and what did she do, and you know, her legacy as a victim of racism. I've lived here all these years and do not know who is Odessa Brown. I couldn't even do, like, I said, give me your 5 sentences, Odessa Brown. I know where the clinic is. Does that count 1 sentence? That would be about it. Embarrassing. Anyway, the report, courtesy of Obama's narration, former Seattle children's doctor wins $21 million. And this is the Seattle Children's Clinic. The Children's Clinic. The Children's Clinic. You play around with sex, and the joke ends up being on your offspring at the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic in Seattle? Man. That would be another one, like, gee whiz. Let's get serious. Like, white supremacy racism is rampant at the Children's Clinic. I expect, to be called a coon and a nigger at the big people hospital, but this is the Children's Clinic. And it's so bad, the black doctors say, I got to get up out of here. I got to get up. I can't do it. They included, as a part of the report, all this rampant racism at the Children's Clinic. They included the security attacks against black patients. I said, wow. Do they have a panic button? We hear about that at the courthouse all the time. They got a panic button at the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic right down the road in Seattle. Now, I can't exactly walk to it from my residence, but it's not that far. I could get to it if you put me on a scooter. I could get to it probably in 30 minutes. You put me in a car, 15 minutes. It's not that far. Wouldn't even have to get on the freeway. Not that far. Racism is that rampant. They say we don't, and now we don't even have that many black people in Seattle. Population of black people has been decreasing in Seattle for the last decade. I don't even have that many Negro cousins here. Matter of fact, I had to take all my pretend black brothers and sisters. They were Caribbean, Haitian, Nigerian, whatever. I got to take all of them because there ain't no black people in Seattle. How in the world security hop on black people like that at Seattle Children's Clinic? Ain't even no black people here. Like, what? What? And we've had this conversation a few times. We had a Seattle prosecuting attorney as a guest on the program, and she said about 40% of the people that we prosecute down here at King County Courthouse, about 40% of them are black. I said, whoa! 40% of the population of Seattle is not black. We're not even 10% of the population. How is it 40%? Yeah, it's about 40% of you niggers. Mostly nigger males. How does that get repeated? Even at the hospital. I told you, I was at the hospital. I wasn't at the children's hospital, obviously, but I was at the hospital here. And I was in pain. I was on the floor. I took a knee. Not Colin Kaepernick, but I took a knee. Woe is me. Can I get assistance? Security came over. I told you all, me being ignorant, I thought, oh, my sick white brother, He's coming over to check and make sure I'm all right. Blessed day. I'm going to be all right. They're looking out for me. I bet he's going to get me one of them wheelchairs, and I'm going to be feeling like, oh, I'm an impressive coon, boy. And it took me about 30 seconds. I was talking to the white nurse. She was trying to get the symptoms. Like, oh, what's wrong? Oh, okay, we'll get it figured out. And the security came over, and she looked. She said, oh, no, Bob, we're good. Thank you, though. We're good. I said, wait. I thought I'm a security threat. I was on the floor. I was talking to her. I'm in pain. They said you're in pain. You're supposed to go to the hospital. That's what I did. Why am I security threat? Oh, because I'm a privileged black male. Even at the hospital, even at Odessa Brown's children's clinic, security is for the Negro. I wish they had given the details. They did all that nonsense. They got to tell you about how many times they called him a racial slur and a coon and everybody is called a coon. That's every day. Come on. What was the context of the security tossing folks out? Like, I would love to know. Now, can I get 2 for Denzel? Remember John Q? So was this like a John Q thing where Denzel came and said, you are going to operate on my son now. If my son dies, I'm going to strangle everybody in here. Arr! Was it that sort of thing? You got a uppity, rowdy black parent in there, and you say, you're not going to come in here and tell us what to do, Leroy. Get out of here. Was it that sort of thing? Or did they come in there and they raised their voice? Did they get upset because you called them a racial slur? Like, what was the context? Give us like 2 or 3 of the situations where they detail where security comes in and nigger knocker upside the head. Norm Stamper used to work here. Did they get the nigger knocker and crack somebody upside the head at the children's clinic? Like, what happens exactly? That's another one to include when we get to COVID-19. Talk about, you niggers, y'all don't want to go to the doctor and you don't want to get vaccinated. And they had the sign, I saw that on television today. It said, don't wait, vaccinate. Anyway, they didn't include that. They just talked about Nurse Rivers. The niggers is waiting. They're not getting vaccinated. And include when you call us racial slurs at Odessa Brown's children clinic, call the security on us. I'm a little hesitant about going to get the Rona vaccine. They didn't say nothing about that. They just said that old Nurse Rivers. They gossiping about Nurse Rivers. That's all they said. Anyway, this is a massive report with so much detail there. We have lots of healthcare professionals who listen to the program and participated, nurses and all the rest of it. I suspect some of this stuff probably sounds familiar. When I say stuff, I mean the racist abuse in the workplace. And then having no recourse. Then they even try and double back, blame Dr. Danielson, who got $21 million, or at least for right now. White people love to appeal. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if they wait until like April and come back and whoa, not so fast, Dr. Danielson. Give me that check back. We've appealed, and now you've lost. And in fact, you owe us $15,000 and a chicken lunch. I would not be surprised at all. But at least for right now, he says he won. We'll see how it goes. For people who work in the medical profession, I suspect a lot of this is very familiar in terms of the discipline. They included that too. Non-white staff being subjected to different forms of discipline than white staff. That is rampant and way beyond the health field. That's one that documentation is so important. If you come in late or whatever the infraction is, they say you're not following protocol. They said he didn't abide by the HIPAA standards and was sharing other people's COVID-19 information, no less. Whatever it is, what is the protocol? What is the alleged violation? And then how was it handled? What did they do for you? Did you get suspended? Did you get a verbal reprimand? Did they do a prank on you publicly? What did they do to the white employees when they did the same thing? Because that's pretty widespread as well. That's when you want documentation to know, wow, it does seem like that the rules are not enforced equally. We don't have equal protection by the law. And document, try to get as much as you can. But that would be widespread in the health care field, and something that I want to be very honest about. Dr. Welsing was fired, right? She talked about all that stress that she got from the American Medical Association. I want to be very honest about before you even, get into all that, going to med school and spending all that money. Hey, this is probably the environment that you're going into. They don't even have black doctors. They work diligently to make sure we don't have black doctors, especially black dude doctors like Dr. Danielson. So I'd want to be real upfront about all of this. In fact, I'd want to get a report like this and discuss it if I was in med school. Now, more intelligent people than myself probably know, now, is that risky to do? Did you get in trouble? Maybe they kick you out of school if you bring up something like that. Definitely, if I was here at the University of Washington, we got to bring this up. I'm in some sort of pediatric studies or something. We got to bring this up. See it now, if I was broadcasting from the University of Washington, Seattle Children's Clinic would be walking distance. It's no way I could ignore that. They said Dr. Danielson was a University of Washington employee. He wasn't even employed by the clinic. Yes, we're going to have to talk about this. This is a UW employee, in fact. What are we doing to make sure we don't replicate? You put it in the question form. Present the report, and then what are we doing to make sure that we don't replicate this when we go out in our practice, take care of children? Real talk, if I worked at a children's hospital from Poughkeepsie to Florida, I might have to bring this report in. Maybe not on the first day, but I might have to bring this report in. Maybe we need to talk about this at the next staff meeting. What do you think? Children's clinic, disgraceful. Can I get it one more time? White people do not care about children. Disgraceful. Anywho, the name of that report again, former Seattle children's doctor wins $21 million in discrimination lawsuit, was published originally on December 23rd, earlier this week. Seattle Times. I'm so embarrassed. Y'all have to quiz me on that to find out. And since I'm here, I should have an A+ report, right? Who is Odessa Brown? What's her contribution to ending racism? F for Gus T, but I will still learning. I will find out and report back. All right. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. Folks who dialed in, let us know how you're dealing with the holidays as well. If you had holiday parties, we did hear some folks, they said, man, I cleaned up. Forget all that suffering. They paid us to go to the holiday party. I went, put on my best smile, asked questions, got me a full glass of water, no lemon, and racked up all the coins I could at the holiday party with a smile. A+, A+, A+. Now again, if you're not getting paid, and or they're doing this at the bar, you're on the clock, 30 minutes. If at all, I might not even attend. Y'all are going to be at the bar and doing navel shots and all of it, jello shots and all that old absurdity, which is very common. No, thank you. No, thank you. Got to take care of my parents. My child was sick. We got lots of excuses. Let's see. Oh, my God, Brian Gumbel. I forgot. Oh, I got a report I got to share later. The late Brian Gumbel, workplace racism. The late Brian Gumbel, privileged black male. He passed away at 77 years of age. He will not be with us for 2025. I might not be either. Who knows? But we know Mr. Brian Gumbel will not. I think I even messed up my Gumbels. Greg Gumbel passed away. I just saw that, and I posted online because I thought, wow, all the racism he experienced in his broadcast career. I will have to make sure I include that report before we push off, but I'll get to the folks on the phone. But man, God bless the dead. the late, great Greg, not his brother Brian, Greg Gumbel, victim of white supremacy. Again, I posted some of this. Got to be tons of reports. If you are a black person of prominence at all, it doesn't matter your field, what you did, there are going to be reports about you and white supremacy racism. Guarantee. Probably bunches of them, especially if you were good at your job like Mr. Gumbel. God bless the dead. Will be missed. 78. I think that's young. I mean, that is kind of privileged black male because most black dudes do not live to 78. See, Prince, Michael Jackson, even wealthy dudes do not live to 78. Brian Gumbel did. Excuse me, Greg. Keep messing up my Gumbels. Greg Gumbel did make it to 78, but no more. Missed. Folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, let us know. If you got time off or how you've managed workplace holidays. Let's see.
Greetings to Gus, the host, listeners, and hall callers. Can I be heard?
Heard both of you. Normally grab our female caller first. Let's see.
You can grab the female.
Right on. Much obliged, sir. Bay Area Mommy, Jeff Commentary should be with us.
Thank you, sir. Greetings to you all. I remember, well, I know Brian, and well, I don't know them personally because they're like older than me, but I remember Brian Gumbel and his brother as well, a great guy. So yeah, I was like, oh, I didn't know Brian died, but yeah, I understand. I'm sorry to whomever's affected. He wasn't. Neither one of the Gumbels were household hits for my home, so they didn't get a lot of love in my house. But they're only victims, so it's not. They're only doing what they're allowed to do. The Children's Hospital. What is it though? That's around Children's Clinic side, and the gentleman that won the settlement. I'm sure they will appeal, but I appreciate that, and I'm sure it was a lot of money just so they maybe can appeal. I don't know, so they don't get as much. But I appreciate the win. There were some other clips, but I don't want to ramble. So I am one of the ones who didn't have to work. I've been off for a whole week. Oh, do. I cook and stuff, and then I take this lady. She's maybe like 73. She should be 73 February, something like that. So I always make sure I cook for her. She loves these commercialized holidays. She's accustomed to eating, and so am I. I'm very conditioned. So even though I live by myself, and I'm usually by myself, except for when my son is here, I always cook, and I always take her food. So that's what I'll be doing that for New Year's. I just did that today as well, just because I cooked something. And I just ran into her real quick and then took something somewhere else. But anyway, back to work. So I'm not working, but I have to work tomorrow because I'm doing respite. So I'll tell you about that. I'm doing respite care because I don't get to see. I know it's a stretch. It's a bit far, but I don't get to see the boys, and because I'm attached to the boys, because I've been with them for so many years, I want to, if I can carve time, I want to do it. So I carved out 2 weekends. She wanted 4. She wanted like last Saturday, this tomorrow, next Saturday, and the Saturday after next. I need 2. We'll talk about the 3rd, but you can't have all 4 because even though sometimes I have to stop and think about me because I do so much. Even I was so burnt out, Gus, just all that because I work so many hours a day and I'm on my feet. I notice that I'm trained to be on my feet with what I do. I'm not accustomed to sitting down. So everybody's sitting down except for me because in real life, the work that I was accustomed to doing with the children, you can't just be sitting down. You got to be ready for whatever. One of those hits, blows, runs. You have to be on your feet. You got to wear appropriate shoes just in case you may have to run. So I'm just programmed like that. So I'm on my feet so many hours. I feel guilty when I am sitting down because I feel like I'm not working. So I was so drained and so burnt out. I was just like, okay, it's okay for you to take a nap at your house in the daytime. It's okay. It's okay for you to stop. So that's what I kind of did. I kind of just stopped and just sorted out, what am I going to do next year? How am I going to do this? How long are you going to be working with these children? What about your little LLC that you started? What are you going to do with that? So did you even pay the taxes on that? So I did that. Because I'm so, and of course I'm thinking about work and what I'm going to do come Tuesday, because we have to go back on the 6th, the adults, but the children don't come back until the 7th. It's a lot because of course my head is always on how am I going to solve this? How am I going to get this done? How am I going to help this child do this or that? And my two children that I spend the most time with, or my main two children, they're the ones that need a lot of help. The one that they have in that office closet room, all the people in the behavioral department want him in another facility. Case managers, everybody, except for speech and maybe the speech supervisor. And I know that the speech lady, she's maybe in her early 30s, she has an attachment to this boy because he's been there since kindergarten. So you get attached, especially to us, we were kind of like pets and projects. So just my view. I don't want him to go anywhere. I have a couple I want to go somewhere, but I don't want him to go anywhere. But I don't have a real say. I'm more of, okay, what's next? What you want me to do? Okay, what's next? Because it's a business as well. So it's become an issue to where they're not speaking. A lot of the staff that were speaking in this setting are not speaking. Now, the person that wants him to stay or the people that want him to stay are the ones that spend the least amount of time with him as well. Speeches are 20, 30 minutes twice a week, depending on if he tear it up or not. And now I go with him. Well, not anymore because my schedule changed a little bit, but I will go with him to keep him from, maybe just to change the atmosphere a bit so he doesn't get to where he might want to tear up the speech room or not want to follow the structure of how it's set up that week, because he will do that. But if I'm there, I can think of ways to maybe if I engage too, we can get through this speech session and nobody's upset. So because I work with him so differently, they appreciate my style. I'm not saying anybody likes me, but they appreciate my style. So they are in my face a lot when they can see me, but I'm always on the go, so you try to catch me. Hey, okay, see you later. So it's a big deal about the little boy that's in the room. They don't want him at the school. They want to use the room as a sensory room. I mean, they got a whole lot of stuff, especially since I've been there, because I kind of bring it to life. If he's going to be in here, we're going to bring it to life. We're going to make it so right now we're doing marble run, gecko run, because it's a marble run with a twist, because I'm extra. So I bought him gecko run. I do get him little stuff to keep him engaged, so he's not just roaming around like that. Sometimes I have to revisit certain things because he has so many visitors, so many people. It's very overwhelming for him. I stated that I can do ABA. If we can change his program, let's teach them ABA style until they figure out what they're going to do. In real life, Gus, it's going to cost so much money to make the school that I work at able to accommodate the behaviors that are really there. I'm thinking back to when we went to the meeting, the school board meeting, to make the school stay a charter for another 5 years. The money that they were stating that it's going to take, just the principal stating it's going to take, I think it was like $700,000 just to run special day for a year. So I don't know what that school is doing. Those behaviors, oh my God. It's a little girl that the boy calls Angry Girl. She's got to be 7, 8 years old. Nightmare. I don't like to see her going or coming, but I don't mistreat her, but I don't let her mistreat the little boy. But she picks at him because he's been there for a while, and people like the little boy. He's been there for 2 years. He even has a twin there. The little girl, she just got there. She has a slew of problems. She's coming from another state. Well, I'm sure they really treat her. She's coming from Texas, so they really treated her terrible. A divorce, that she has a sibling under one. I'm sure there's a lot of issues, but she just lashes out at the school. And all you hear is hollering and screaming her. There's other children there with different stories. There's so much trauma in those walls. I want to help. Not for $20, but I want to help. I'm glad I have these 2 weeks off. I need it, especially to go back in with a different strategy and ready. I got to redo. So I work under a BCBA, and I did get certified to be an RBT, even though I'm not a RBT there. I'm a RBT until next year, the end of next year, because I had to take that, redo that stuff that I don't remember. And so that's a good part for me. So if they do want to hire me, they will have to hire me as the RBT that I am underneath the BCBA that they have. Or I can keep going through the agency until I figure out what I want to do next. But I don't want to do children like that. So it's a lot. These children, and they're coming out even tougher. The way they work, it's awful. Anyway, thank you for taking my call. Thank you for allowing me to ramble, sir and Gus. And I'll mute.
Much obliged. Bay Area mom, that is great with getting her certification. She had talked about they wanted to hire her before, and she was talking about you don't really get any time off and all the rest of it. It's like, why would I do that? That doesn't even make sense. Like, yeah, if I'm going to be brought on, maximize so you can get maximum coin, maximum benefits, and all the goodies, paid time off, all of that, if they're going to hire you full time. If not, keep staying with the agency and getting your money that way. Like, yeah, max out. And everyone should do that. All the certifications, anything that's going to increase your value and skill in your field so you can get more coin. Do it, do it, do it. Always a fan of that. That's why they try and deny us opportunities for training and certifications, things that are constructive. Just want to waste our time, and it's, come help us do the rap Christmas song. Come on. She said the Gumballs sound like Greg nor Brian. Got any love in the household growing up? Sound like Gus T. Like, dang, like reason to hate on Greg Gumbel. His problem. The problem is not the Gumbel family. The problem is white people. But Greg Gumbel has passed on now. Dang, no love for the Gumballs. She talked about, Bayer mom talked about feeling burned out, and that is very common. I would say really at this time of year for a lot of people, especially because the so-called holidays can be stressful for a lot of people. That could be traveling. That could be you have to hang out all these people and hosting and doing food, or not doing that. Then they, make you feel some type of way about that, or having anxiety, missing people and all that. It's just a host of issues around this time of year. And then that's not to even mention, the season did just change, solstice and all that. We have less daylight hours for lots of folks. Might be really cold depending on where you are, even snowing depending on where you are. That has an impact to shorter daylight hours. So lots of reasons, lots of ways that people are maybe under a little bit of anxiety right now. Very important. Take that time. If you need it to rest, if it's not even doing anything, I'm just going to rest. Not, planning any trips, not, going traveling anywhere, visit anybody. I'm going to sit my hind parts down, get quality rest, maybe get a little extra rest, eat some good food, not consume all those sweets and cakes and pies and cobblers and everything else, the Santa Claus Snickers and nonsense that they have this time of year. I'm going to eat some good, healthy foods, more veggies, maybe get some acorn squash, things that are seasonal, and enjoy that as opposed to a lot of rubbish. Get quality rest, maybe get outside a little bit if you can, do a little yoga in the house, move around a little bit, but self-care is really important, I would say, especially this time of year, because there's just so much, bad activity, bad habits. I think she was mentioning the quality Samaritan work that she was doing, taking a little bit of food, some victuals to some of her neighbors attempted, because they're addicted to the foods from this time of year, as many of us are. Bravo, bravo, looking out for some other folks. But man, it's so much of the foods that we get addicted and have had, like, grew up eating and all that, got those memories. It's like bad food. I mentioned all those cakes, pies, and country ham and biscuits, and it just goes on and on and on. I even heard people who said, well, we're not going to do that this year. We're not going to do all that. It's not good. So we switch it up. So instead, we had sausage, waffles, omelets, cinnamon rolls. Wait a minute. That's not any better at all. Like, I thought, I'll say something, we switched it up. We had fruit and, baked squash, zucchini or something. Anyway, I'm being ignorant. Or you could do the traditional. I made mashed potatoes. You don't have to make them with all that nonsense that's going to kill everybody. Stuffing, same thing. You don't have to make it with all that nonsense that's going to kill. I made gravy. You don't have to make it with all that nonsense that's going to kill everybody. Mushroom gravy. Oh, it was so good. Anyway, do the foods, quality food that's not going to kill everybody and have us checking out early so we can't even be around until 78 like Greg Gumbel. Let's see. I thought it was important as well, Bay Area Mom. She did emphasize that she has demonstrated correct techniques in working, especially with some of their troublesome, privileged black boys that are in the school. And she says that some of the other teachers, educators will look like, oh, wow, she's doing this. Got the child so he's not in prison. He's actually at his desk and excited about learning, using his brain computer. She said they not saying anyone likes me. That is very important for the workplace. Even if and she does work with a lot of non-white people, even if she worked with exclusively black people, not saying anyone likes me. These are not your homies, partners, friends, brothers, sisters, none of that. These are people you work with, and that's that. Even if you are, hopefully, everyone is courteous. You, they, everyone. That does not mean anybody here, I got no type of, authentic affection for you, and I got a Christmas stocking with your name on it up in the house. None of that, none of that, none of that. Hopefully they are courteous to you. Hopefully. We're not even going to expect that. But you do not have in your brain computer that anybody here likes me. Anybody. I could be fired in the next 5 seconds. And they'd be giggling about it too. Any hoodles. Young academic, much obliged for yielding to Bay Area Mom. You have commentary. Proceed.
Greetings to Gus, the host, listeners, and callers. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
First of all, Gus, thank you for your tireless work. I don't know where I would be without this show. Your massive archive collected over the years, which has brought stability and rationality to the system of racism, white supremacy, designed to be chaotic and purposefully unreasonable. On the technological plantation, Negroes are not supposed to be able to make sense of the world around them. We are never supposed to ask what this means or why it matters. White people interpret our reality of what we perceive and believe. I would have never known this or arrived at this conclusion if it wasn't for you in this show. Another thing that I have learned is that white people do not work. They maintain control. I took the advice so often suggested on this program and kept my resume updated. And I was hired as a clerk at an institution I will refer to here as the Negro Counter because it serves to collect data that is then used to negatively surveil, digitally exploit, and justify a Negro's access to equity. The institution at which I was employed served to reinforce my belief that white people don't work. I had 6 managers over me who went to every extent not to work. They would make it appear as if they were working while not working, simultaneously bragging about their multiple income streams, going as far to offer me employment while appearing to work. I never trusted this. I know that each employee's salary at this institution is public information. I quickly learned that all of the supervisors for whom I was employed made $120,000 each. I make nowhere near that, a fraction of that amount. I've learned that while at work, some managers are in class earning their master's degree from University of Phoenix and attending class. This is illegal. This is done in hope of strengthening their resume and earning potential. I witnessed time being wasted, spent within meetings about future meetings, solving nothing. During these times, I was put in charge of transcribing these meetings minutes, consisting about 120 people on Microsoft Teams call, all speaking simultaneously. When transcribing meetings, I found that keeping track of who spoke was almost impossible if their camera was not turned on. I took the advice I heard within the archives to always have one earpiece in and make it appear as if you're not listening. It was also suggested that I buy a USB recording device to record meetings secretly. With these purchases, my life was made easier. It was quickly confirmed that when you appear to have one earpiece in, white people let their guard down. It appears as if you're not listening to their conversation. This is how I learned that my bosses have multiple streams of income. I'm talking about multiple properties, amusement parks, Wonder Bread factories, bed and breakfasts in different countries. Daily, white people go to far lengths to make it appear as if they're completing work, but they are not. I was forced to monitor this. Imagine having 6 managers never talk to each other and give you multiple assignments with competing due dates initially assigned to them. The assignments are always outside of your pay grade. Naturally, I'm confused about my confusion. I welcome the work while remembering to write everything. I start and complete in my workplace journal. My managers will go as far as to sit there and stare at blank computer screens to the point I thought I was going crazy. I would double check throughout the day to see if they had a cloaking device or a privacy screen preventing me from seeing their work or progress. My workplace was filled with digital incompetence. My lead supervisor did not know how to access his email or 120 digital timesheet, 120 employees' digital timesheets, and he would ask me to print them out and organize them, all of which could be accessed online and quickly completed. I said nothing and kept workplace racism notes, listening to the C.O.W.S archive at times gives me strength. My manager not working meant I was offered to come in on the weekends to make time and a half. I took this opportunity multiple times, only to quickly learn that being in the workplace on weekends is not worth my mental health. Even despite doing this extra work, when it came time to give my workplace review, my extra effort was never documented. I would only receive 3 out of 5 points, which made it appear that I had room for improvement. My supervisors, who have retained permanent employment, are incentivized to do this because they get to pocket my $600 bonus. It was only due to my constant documentation within my workplace notes that I could fight the low scoring of my performance review and receive a bonus. The C.O.W.S has taught me to document my arrival time, the time I depart, and every duty I complete inside and outside of my job description, including having to walk around New York for weeks delivering supplies on foot because multiple supervisors forgot to mail them to the location in time for a conference. I was also required to remove furniture throughout the building, such as computers, tables, and chairs. I quickly learned that my department supervisor owned a professional moving company and was contracted by the agency to move furniture on weekends. He had me doing this during my workplace hours. Mind you, he only has to report to the office twice a week. He ended up hiring another clerk to work for him on the weekends to maintain his and his other supervisors' absorbent salaries at $120,000. They purposely underhire clerks. For example, there are supposed to be 6 clerks, but they purposely only keep 2 on payroll so the institution remains on budget and to be sure not to exceed contractual agreements. So they don't have to offer those 2 overworked clerks health care and benefits. My job was only extended because of my workplace racism journal. I was then quickly not promoted, but reassigned and extended as clerk for the entire department for 8 states. I could have left this employer, but I decided to keep this job when I learned that every week you work, you are given 4 hours of vacation and 4 hours of paid sick leave. Also, they let you leave 3 hours early the day before a federal holiday, which you are paid for. I have met coworkers who only come to work half of the year. This includes telework managers who only have to come into the office 2 times a week and pretend to work. I have met managers who take 3 months off every summer to live in different countries. Some have so much time accumulated that they don't have to work for a year and still receive bi-weekly pay. Others have so much time that they are encouraged to donate paid leave to other employees who do not have any. I wasn't offered telework until they hired another clerk. Of course, my telework was only 10 days a month instead of the 12, but well appreciated. When this other clerk was hired, he was a non-Negro, white, very feminine, loud male who gossips and hangs out with all other Negro females on the job. He is only known for not working. They joke and ask him what he is working on, and he aimlessly stands at the printer. So he doesn't get caught. He joins organizations and clubs within the organization and claims he's completing projects such as toilet tots and various charity initiatives. Upon further investigation, I found it odd that he did not want to be contacted on telework days. I noticed that he was known as the comic relief within the office and that I was the only one working, and he was going back into the system, falsifying my work and pretending it was his. He did this for an entire year before he was caught, meaning I had completed multiple projects and assignments by myself. I also discovered that he was working 2 jobs during the same hours. He had acquired a second job while he was supposed to be teleworking at home. He purchased a mouse mover, which moves your mouse strategically to make it appear as if you are working and active. I found this out because he was working election days and tried to joke about it. I felt my stupidity, realized I was the only employee given 100% of my effort instead of his 25%. I brought this to my Hispanic female supervisor's attention. The next in chain of command would have been reaching out to director. Since she spends most of her time traveling and he has his good friends stationed throughout the office within the administration, and my supervisor informed me to tell no one, and I was put in charge of the investigation to document proof of his falsifying records, and that most of all, if not all, of his work was falsified. It took me an entire month of an investigation. During this time, they made up an excuse, and they only assigned him busy work and locked him out of the system to cover themselves. In comparison, I had to redo all of the work he falsified and conduct the investigation. My employer put another black female over to monitor us. They didn't upgrade or change her pay grade. They just assigned her more work and responsibilities on top of what was already due without proper compensation. Gus, you are correct when you say white people are never fired. They are only transferred, because this is what happened to this white effeminate gentleman, because he was good friends with all of the more confused people in administration. He was rewarded by being assigned even less work. He was transferred to another department where he continues to pretend to work. When my contract was eventually up, this white gentleman who doesn't work was extended, and my contract was canceled. I feel as if my contract was canceled because I didn't self-segregate by eating lunch the same time with all of the black employees, including the effeminate male. Instead of assimilating, I stuck out. No one knew me. I chose not to participate in lewd jokes or discussions of politics, which were prohibited from discussing, and didn't even provide nervous laughter in the workplace. Instead, I read or listened to the C.O.W.S archive in Battery Park. When initially reassigned to administration, one of the first things I noticed was that we were all segregated by racial makeup. That is when I made the personal decision not to participate. When it came time for my extension, I was told they couldn't find money to keep me within the budget and retain me. I'm left to wonder if this could be because I decided to eat lunch in numerous parks around the city instead of kicking it with other Negroes. What did I learn? Mediocrity is always rewarded. White people can sleep at their desks and not get in trouble. I was told off the record by my non-white identifying female supervisor that to be retained, I had to find a disability. All permanent employees have a disability or they are veterans. She wanted to retain me, but because I don't have a disability and because I'm not a veteran, she can't. I am a 1B candidate instead of a required 1A. I also have been priced out of health coverage and lost my health insurance. I didn't have the resources available to prove I had a disability, even though I don't. I couldn't make one without evidence, and when my contract was up, frustrated, I was forced to return to teaching. Now, the goal for white people is total control to decide how stories are told. White people don't care about children. On the technological plantation, Negro children are being farmed, manipulated, and killed. Farmed in the sense that black children are exploited for profit, manipulating their potential and contributing to outcomes that harm their physical and emotional and psychological well-being. I'm not supposed to think critically. The children I teach are not supposed to think critically. I'm just a placeholder for artificial intelligence and planned obsolescence. I have been hired to work at 3 different schools this year for the entire year. At every location, I learned that the only reason why I have employment at odd times of the year is because white males and females who do not work are not teaching but are fucking the students. I say it like that because their actions are taken so lightly, and either incoming long-term educator was never informed. This is common. When caught, they are put on administrative leave until charged, and they hire big confused Negroes like me to come in and try to manage the confusion and chaos. The first location I was hired at for the year was at a military academy. I was never provided work or curriculum, let alone a computer or internet access. For 2 months, the kids sat in class and did nothing, which caused behavioral problems. After documenting the issues and bringing them to the administration's attention, I was forcibly reassigned from the 12th grade to a sixth grade science class at a different school. I spent one day at this new location and realized I had behavioral problems with most of my non-white students. I ended the day by telling them why I longed to teach non-white students like themselves. Just at that moment, I felt like I was reaching a breakthrough because the students started to open up, only to find out that the previous teacher was having a sexual relationship with several students in the classroom. He was put on administrative leave for a year while they investigated. This, of course, alarmed me. Not only am I a big black Negro, but why wasn't I informed of this when I initially was assigned this position? Why was I being informed of this disgusting sexual conduct by one of the people it happened to? Why was it one of the female students? I ended the conversation and immediately wrote a letter, emailed it, requesting to be reassigned. I was reassigned to teach at a high school history class at another location. Daily, I was called Blackie and Black Bitch by non-white confused immigrant students. Nothing was done. One of the non-white black female students I bought Rebecca Skloof's book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, for because she showed an interest in science and genealogy. One day she informed me that she didn't feel like a little girl on the inside, that she was a dog and couldn't talk to her black parents and inform them of her attraction to dogs. I know I'm confused about my confusion, so I shut the conversation down and immediately had little to no contact with the student. I was greeted every day for a month with messages on my whiteboard, "Free Mr. Cizelle," and water on my classroom floor where someone could slip and fall. Of course, I was never given a curriculum or access to grading at this new location. Working in this position for 2 months, I was in assigned classwork until the last week of the marking period. There were only 4 fill-in-the-blank assignments, work that was given to me at the very last minute that I was expected to assign. I could not grade appropriately because the answer sheet that I was given did not correctly correspond with the questions. When I complained to the administration about this, I was again removed from an assignment, this time only on paper. However, I am still listed as a teacher for the class within the digital system. I have been replaced by another educator who assigns work and grades assignments. However, I am still listed as a teacher for the class and scheduled for the entire year. My schedule instead is updated daily when I arrive to the office. I am forced to cover gym classes, nonverbal special ed classrooms, or overcrowded auditoriums with 80-plus students. Assignments beneath my pay grade, even though I still make long-term educator pay on paper. This is a medicine school, and the smell of marijuana in the hallway is so heavy that on the last day of work before the holiday, I was assigned to cover the lunchroom. I witnessed a teacher request that a student not stand in the doorway of the lunchroom and use his marijuana vape pen. Instead, she suggested that he go to the side where no one could see him doing it, so he's not so obvious. I overheard another female student saying that a teacher would give her a ride home, which I know is very inappropriate, and I couldn't report it because I had no clue who the student is or who the teacher she was referring to is. She appeared to be under the influence of marijuana when she said it. When the children shout, "Free Mr. Cizelle," they are referring to a teacher who was fired for using an app to create a digitally altered image of a female and use this to harass and stalk her and her family members. Both articles about teachers' sexual misconduct can be found in the papers. The 5th and 6th grade science teacher is still under investigation and remains uncharged and is on paid administrative leave. Gus, you are right when you reiterate that reading is more important than watching television. Had I been reading the paper, I would have known this information sooner. White people maintain control by keeping a fight between charter schools and public schools going, which is often used to weaken public education outcomes by diverting resources, creating competition rather than collaboration, and shifting accountability to individuals rather than the system of racism, white supremacy. As a response to this rampant underfunding, the district has decided to close 6 schools and not reopen new ones, making student overcrowding even worse. There are so few teachers that they combine classes in the auditorium for free periods. On the bright side, I spend my time reading, researching, and updating my resume. I mute my line.
Well, just apples, carrots, and rainbows there. Much obliged, young academic. Wow. Wow. Man. When you play around with sex, and make sure in case I am struck by lightning or another act of God, Neely Fuller Jr. said, white people do not get fired, they get transferred, just so that no one tries to, that coon Gus did not say that, and I'll kill him for taking credit. That is Neely Fuller Jr. White people do not get fired, they get transferred, for sure. Accurate all the way. The wowzers, just wow. I guess the first component of young academics' share, he's working the Negro counter. He listens. His white coworkers have all kinds of extra streams of income, properties, amusement park. I said, what in the world? He said they own the Wally World? Like, what? The amusement park in Germany? Like, what? 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 Come on, man. Come on. You can't be ignorant. If you own a slip and slide water park in Istanbul, you cannot be ignorant about white supremacy racism. You got an Airbnb in Buenos Aires, you cannot be ignorant about white supremacy racism. You got to do all that moving around the planet and shifting and talking to different people and everything. It's no way, man. No way. Jeez. See, that's what I mean, like listening, like, man, maybe I mess around, I get me an amusement park too. Hey, love it. Love it. Counter racism amusement park. Hey. Neely Fuller Jr. bumper cars. Hey. Still learning. Whoops, still learning. They got the amusement parks and all that jazz, which he said he got, have the one earbud in. A number of folks have said that, where white people get real comfortable and just get the yammering away about all kinds of things. Ear hustling. Less talking, more listening. Let's see. The lack of, now we've heard that like lots. White people, lazy, shiftless, not doing any work, and I mean nothing. I just hang out next to the printer, so, they don't ask me too many questions. I kick it every now and then, make it seem like it's not working, but oh no, I don't do that. Fuller talked about that, man. In addition to the white people don't get fired and all that, He said, I've seen that on my job. They just get the clipboard and, walk around, cup of coffee, and just walk around. Got my clipboard in hand, and now you walk around, you have your iPhone in hand, or you have your device, you have that, and you still got the cup of coffee, or you have now your Stanley mug. You have that, bam, you got your device, and you just go walk around. Oh, Boy, I fell out. He said, you get to work from home. You tell everybody, look here, Thad is working from home for the next 3 days. Do not mess around ringing my phone, checking on me. What are you doing? Are you? Do not ring old Chad for the next 2 days. Make it 4. Like, what? What, black person? What? He said they got the old mouse mover. WTH. You will forgive me. Worthless Negro from Virginia. Poorly educated. I had never heard of a mouse mover. What? I go, Jeff Bezos, do you sell mouse movers? Absolutely, Brother Gus. They got the Tech 8 USA mouse mover device. Undetectable mouse jiggler for laptops, PCs, no software, random movement. They got this listed as a work from home essential. And they got that in all caps, brothers and sisters. Work from home essential. The mouse wiggler prevents your computer from going to sleep or displaying an away status while on Microsoft Teams, Link, Zoom, Skype, WebEx, and more. Updated super slim design features unique 3D holographic disc. Then it goes on to give more of the details, but I mean, what? Almost like that is a whole new level of shiftless, in my opinion. You already won. You get to work from home. You can be in your footies. You can be in your pajamas, roll out of bed, go right to where you don't even have to brush your teeth. You already won. You already won. No, I got to. You see, I'm serious about my laziness. See, that's I don't want to really roll out of the bed. And they got the timer, see, on the mouse jiggler, so you can set it all up so you don't even have to roll over and do all. You can say, I think I'm gonna sleep till 2 p.m. today. I set the mouse jiggler so it'll get to wiggling at about 8 a.m. I can't get up. I can't get up. Woo! And then they will come and turn around and tell our lazy, shiftless black brother, young academic, or myself, any of you all, they will have the audacity to turn around and say that lazy, shiftless, slackers, afraid of a little hard work. How many of you all got a mouse jiggler? A mouse jiggler. Most of you don't get to work at home, so you wouldn't have a need for a mouse jiggler. Man, how many white people been working at home for the last 5 years with a mouse jiggler? I can't get up. I can't get up. Wow. Just wow. The sister, what does it mean to be white? He said he got white people. In addition, they've been using the mouse jiggler so long, I forgot how to access it. Hey, look here, black brother. Do you know how to get this here email? Because I've been mouse jigged. I can't live. Woo! man, some of that is basics. That's the white sister. Remember at the courthouse, we had the white sister. She said, I'm supposed to do the tech thing, but I don't really know how to do the Photoshop. Anybody know how to do? You willing to stay after and do a tutorial with your favorite white cousin? Show me how to do the Photoshop. How did you get this job? Cousins with the folks in HR, but never mind. We're going to do the Photoshop remedial tour or not. Like, what is going on? You can't access the email. You can't. How did you get this job? Oh, that's right. You got transit. Yes, yes. Classified as white. Yes, yes. Any hoodles. He said, our shiftless, and meanwhile, while the white people, they got the newest, most up-to-date mouse jiggler, our shiftless Negro, young academic, they gave him his performance review and said, you are about a 3. on a scale of 1 to 5. See, you mediocre Negro, 3. Yes. You are just average. I don't have a mouse jiggler. 3. He said he had to go get his documentation. Like, not only do I not have a mouse jiggler, I've been on time, punctual. I stayed late. I did overtime. Jesus Christ. Mouthy nigger. Why did we hire this mouthy? Fine. Give you a 3.5. We're going to fire this nigger soon. We'll give you a 3.5. We're going to fire this nigger soon. Mouthy coon. What in the world? I don't even have a mouse jiggler. I'm wounded. I had to get my act together at least for a moment because the documentation is so important. Now it's Christmas time and we got gifts. Hey, it's winter. Electric bill, gas bill, heat. Got to make that stuffing. Got to turn the oven on. Lots of expenses. Want every nickel. That's why we go to the job to begin with. Want every nickel. Now, when you go for those reviews, and a lot of times they'll be tacky, they'll do it late. Sometimes they don't do it at all. We've had so many people who've talked about that. When it's time to do that review, you know you've been coming to work on time. And they got apps for that. He said that. I document one. Number one, you can't be early. Be on time. I'm early every day. I'm early every day. I'm the most punctual employee they have. I don't call out goofiness, had a hangover, none of that, none of that. Worked overtime, all that. You got all this documented. They have apps where you can track what time you punched into work and all of that. You can get that and just click right when you go in, same time you're walking through the door, how many hours you worked, if it's a discrepancy about all that. They have hours for all of that. How long you worked on a project, you can track it, all that, keep time, all of that. Got my Docker's documents in tow. Bam. Well, this is why I think I've earned a raise, sir, ma'am. I've been here on time, last 6 months. No truancy at all. No call-outs for sick days either. Been here. And I worked overtime. May 29th, July 15th, August 1st. Fine. Now, I will say, for some people, it's not their nature. They're not comfortable. Maybe it takes them a while to practice. You know, it's almost like you're sassing white people a little bit in the system of white supremacy if the person doing the review is classified as white. But it can be unpleasant. Even that is racism, white supremacy, but just the time and energy. You got to go through all that. They already know this. They had to approve your overtime in many instances. They see your hours. They sign your checks and all that. They know. They would certainly know if you showed up late, so they know you've been on time. They know all of this. They know this really isn't a mediocre Negro we got here. It might be an actual good one. But dignified slave, silly slave, mediocre Negro, hard-working Negro. Negras is Negras. Congolese Negras, USA Negras. Negras is Negras. And Negras. Now, he said, and importantly, he said they were going to call him a mediocre Negra and pocket his bonus. Wow. They incentivize the racism. Like, yeah, we know he's been toiling and working hard and all the rest of it. I'd rather pocket that $600. I got, the wife, she wants an extra gallon of eggnog, and, we got things to do with it. That Negra doesn't need. He's just going to smoke crack. Document everything. Everything. Time you get there, everything. Let's see. The fella had been falsified. That's why you got to document everything. His sick white brother, slacker extraordinary. I bet you got the brand new Jiggler 3000. Just came out days ago. You don't even have to program it, like it's automatic. Like you just stick it into the laptop. Then I got it, brother. You going back to sleep. I got it. Whoop, 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 whoop. Work out. I can't get it together. He said the sick white brother been falsifying documents not for 12 days, not for 12 weeks, for a year. A year. That might even have to be another one. I said, now, who is more informed about white supremacy racism? It took us a year to catch up to slacker white dude who has a mouse jiggler. A year. This sort of thing is rampant. That's why I said us. This is rampant. Oh, there are so many white people. This is exactly what they do. They will task their Negras, do this and do that and do this and hurry up and don't mess it up, Leroy, and all that. They will wait and you'll do it and might do it immaculate. And then they will wait and sabotage, mess the whole thing up, or go in and then put their name on it. We did this, mostly I, because Leroy, he was doing crack and all that, and I had to kind of smack him around and get it, Leroy. That sort of thing. Like, wait a minute, what did you do to contribute? Like, wait a minute, you didn't win. For a year. Oh, I could throw up. Woo! He's been using the mouse jiggler for a year, I know. Even that, that is some effort. He could have took all that as opposed to swindling the company, and that's time theft too, right? If I'm using my mouse jiggler and I'm not really doing anything, I'm stealing from the company, stealing from my black brother, all of that. As opposed to putting all that brain computer effort into how can I swindle and steal, maybe you could just do some of the work. You could figure out a way to do it efficiently. I'm going to steal from this nigger here. Look here. I can't get up. That's what does it mean to be white, though, all day long. What does it mean to be white? Mouse jiggler, stealing your work for a year, and I'm going to pocket your bonus. You didn't really earn it, Leroy. That's all right. Better luck next time. Woo, $600. I'm going to the strip club. Thank you, Leroy. I can't get up. And how many times that happened where the black person did not find out or didn't have documentation? And really the finding out is just, extra. But how many times that happened where the black person, victim of racism, did not have documentation to show that I have been here on time, early. I have worked overtime. I've completed, X number of projects. I haven't called out sick. I don't have a mouse jiggler. You don't have documentation to show all that, and you just lost my $600. Man. I have to get my act together from the mouse jiggler because the school component was important as well. Black. He went from you're mediocre Negro, and I'm taking your bonus to Blackie. What you gonna teach us today, Blackie? You say I jumped out of the frying pan into the fryer of white supremacy racism. The religion of name calling black people. We learn it early. The religion of name calling black people. We got two, since we had two educators on, so now you got two. When you play around with sex, who knows who will be playing around with your offspring? That was an ugly mic drop. That was sound like Billie Holiday yesterday when she was explaining strange feel. Like, that means they grab a little nigger like you and chop his balls off and stick them down his throat. Well, all right, Billie Holiday. I'm gonna go to bed now. Thank you. Shout out to Billie Holiday. The religion of name calling black people and the religion of raping children, a.k.a. Strom Thurmond. Get on administrative leave, I guess, for raping the children, it seems, if you're classified as white. I don't think that would have been you, Blackie. Not that anyone should do that, but I don't think they would have just put you on administrative leave for a year and then have people leaving graffiti about Free Leroy. No. I have never heard of anything like that for any job situation, much less a school. I mean, that's a job, I'm just saying. Where you go to the environment and the person that you're replacing, they're not there anymore because they're accused of some sort of sexual misconduct. Like, what? That's not mentioned, even in gossip. Like, once you got the job and we're just, passing the time. Freddie's not here anymore. They had old rumors he couldn't keep his pants up. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Anyway, we get back. You can park right here. Your office is over there. Let me know if you need any more staplers. We're like, nothing? Much less you go in and you find this out from the children. Like, what? I'm replacing what? What? Whoa. Jesus Christ. Is there a trauma counselor here? Jesus. What? When you play around with sex. Man, I don't even know how to, live time. That's how I'm finding out in the middle of class. Jesus Christ. Man. We had a couple, I think this might have came up before. I personally would not recommend giving any books to any students if they're under 18. Even if it's a white woman, Rebecca Skloot. We read that in the book club, Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. Read that, and we had Henrietta Lacks' grandson as a guest on the program, Ron Lacks, the end of 2021. Any hoodles. I just wouldn't, because you never know, if this person, are they in a foster facility? Do they have a white adopted parent? Do they have black parents? Who knows? Do they have black parents that are white identified? Who knows? Is another white administrator or teacher going to see this and, go, oh my God, that nigger is giving out jihadist literature and was teaching them how to make bombs and, and especially it's something about racism, who knows? The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, that could be on the banned book list in that school, if they were under 18, I would not recommend giving out any books to any little people. Not even coworkers. I wouldn't recommend giving out books at all in the workplace to coworkers, adults, students, just not on the job. Too many. Yikes, this could go bad. I don't even know how to respond to the little person, and she feels like a dog. I thought this was going to go some sexual confusion, which I guess it is to a degree, even worse. But, wow, that's black selfish. So you sit around and Blackie and all this all day long. That is the result. And in the system of white supremacy, black people are not valued. Dogs are valued. Just following the logic. Much obliged. Mediocre Negro. Documentation. Got his bonus, see. And then he still got fired. Which I just said that. Hey, man, next 5 seconds, you could be perfect. You could be the best employee there. But, hey, competent niggers, ignorant niggers. Next 5 seconds, either one of you can be fired. System of White Supremacy, and especially, really, competent nigger, we really got to keep an eye on you. Got all these lazy white people around here. You making us look bad. Get rid of you right now. Turn my mouse jiggler off until we can get rid of this nigger, and then we can go back to being shiftless, way we like it. Mouse jiggler. Why does that even exist? Like, what? What? And you're wasting computer power? The screen could be sleeping. Like, what? Jesus Christ, that is how out of balance the world is. You got people who sit around, and as opposed to putting their brain computer together to produce justice, today, mouse jiggler. Man, if any of you all use a mouse jiggler, shame on you. Let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let us know if you've got a mouse jiggler. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Whew, man, oh man. Folks got through the holidays, office parties, and all of that jazz. Let us know. We'll be here tomorrow. Compensatory call in 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll update news information that has transpired over the past 7 days or so. Last weekend of 2024. Hopefully we will get through it safely and in one piece, and then we can just get through New Year's Eve, and we will have pretty much got through the so-called holiday season. Pretty much. 7 days or so sobriety, 7 days ixnay on the rum cake and all the rest of that nonsense, and we should make it. Go get a little exercise in, drink more water, and then we'll see if we can be constructive, get this here problem solved in 2025. Let's see, we'll give folks about 5 minutes or so to dial in, see if they have additional thoughts, observations, what they've heard via the broadcast, your own situation over the holiday, if you got time off or if you had to work, all that jazz, how you've been able to navigate all of that as we head into the new year. Heard from a young academic where he said some of the white people on the job, they had so much time off saved up that they could take sabbaticals and not come into work for a whole year or take the whole summer off and go overseas. Man, that is living your best life. And it sounded like they didn't even like broadcast to him, like, look here, black brother, every week you get those 4 hours vacation and, sick time, go ahead and stack that up as much as you can, black brother. Like they didn't even, make a big to-do about that. Like, whoa, yes, I will see if I can stack as much of that as I can. I can get paid out when I leave if I got a lot, and or I can start being like those white people. I can schedule and say, hey, maybe I want to take a month and do some studying. Now I can do it and still earn a paycheck, so I'll still have some income and can comfortably take that month to, I don't know, take a sculpting class. go to, I don't know, D.C. I'm going to go to the Library of Congress, do some research for a couple of weeks. Psh, psh, check you, and still earning a paycheck while I do. Be like those wives who said they go overseas, still earning a paycheck, hang out for 3-4 weeks, do some studying. Be like Dr. Wells, and I go to Nazi Germany, do some studying.
Hey, Gus.
Young academic, yes, sir.
My supervisor during the pandemic was allowed to get her whole law license while she was working. So she certified. She did everything except pass the bar, and she was able to do that while working.
Call it multitasking while working. And he said some of the white people, they were doing that, the University of Phoenix and all that, probably some of them, Trump's school and all that, said it was illegal. You're not even supposed to be doing that. Rules is for Negroes. That's, young guy. You tell old Leroy down the hall, that's right. And now, Leroy, you can't be doing no school during work hours. I'm a white man. I'm a white woman. I got my mouse jiggler. I'm going to take my class while I'm in the office. Shh. Quiet. And real talk, they probably not even doing the class. Like, if it's that much shiftless, why am I going to be something? University of Phoenix, man. I'm going to take Trump's university, and I just, I get the mouse jiggler for that, too. So it's like I'm listening to the lecture. I'm not listening to I'm just sitting. He said they were looking at the blank screen. I'm chilling. I'm chilling in my thoughts and getting my degree, so I'm moving right on up the ladder. Me and my mouse jigglers, plural. Come on. And I've heard a lot of schemes like that, where they got, I think we shared the one before, that white dude, he had his girlfriend, she was faking and taking these classes and ended up doing it for a whole lot of his friends and such, so they could get these degrees, and now we can make like $5,000 more and all, and it was like really elaborate. They had to go through all this and do that, and it's like, it seemed like it might have been easier to just take the class. I don't want to do that. And then, like I said, do all of that, then tell black people the problem is, all are lazy, get those bootstraps and pull harder, see, take night classes, see, you don't have enough ambition, see, you just listen to rap music all day, you and Diddy, see. What? Come on. Any hoodles. As I said, compensatory call-in will be here mañana. New book for the book club. I'm so excited. Dr. Maya Angelou's The Heart of a Woman. Coming up, we just had our first session yesterday, and we'll be returning next Thursday for segment number 2, but we just started. Love the autobiographies. We'll get a teaspoon of workplace racism. She even had the school component in already. She started with that yesterday, having to go and confront a gang of racist white teachers about her young son. But I'm sure have some workplace racism to this book as well. Would be impossible to think how we could not. She's dealing with Dr. Angelou's adult life this time around. Last time we read her, she was a child. But I'm super excited and looking forward. Dr. Maya Angelou, second time around, Catherine Massey Book Club. Second installment next Thursday. Any hoodles. Let's see. Other folks have commentary. Make sure I don't miss any. Our email, untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. Make sure I don't miss any emails. Folks have thoughts, suggestions. If you use the mouse jiggler, let us know. Our caller at the courthouse in Florida, I mentioned they said at the Odessa Brown Children's Clinic, they get the security and they come and jump on the black people who come to the hospital to try and get their young people assistance, ostensibly. I said, that's exactly what they do at the courthouse. Panic button. He said they even talked about this, and now we use the panic button a little too much. You can't just, you got a hankering that Leroy is going to do something. We're using it a little too much and hopping on black people, generally speaking. See? Let's see. Our caller at the courthouse should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Gus. That panic buttons issue still is there. It's mainly been a series of black customers in the last, I would say, 3 weeks that have been having or been sharing their concerns about these two white women who gossip with each other. One is on the segregated side, and the other is on the white side, and both of them engage in sexual relationships with black males, and I've just been noticing that, and even today, a black mother and a black daughter came in and was like, "Hey, why does she tell us we had to go back to the front counter?" And then the guy up there tell us that we got to come back and take the photos. And I said, that's pretty much how the process goes. And it looks like she, and they knew, I guess, found out that she went on a lunch break, and this white woman leaves at 11. But the concern they were sharing, I guess they just noticed, or I guess I'll use the word, maybe just got a vibe or discovered something from the white person and the tone that she used. This person has, again, like a pattern of how she speaks to black people, especially if they're black female, recently. And last week, there was a black female that came into the area where I work, and I was on the phone at the time, so she was waiting to be helped and assisted. So these coworkers that I'm with, that I work next to, they have a tendency to ask, how can I help you, while they're in the middle of helping someone else. So it really went bad, I guess I'll say, on this one, because the lady felt uncomfortable. So she turned around and said to the white woman, like, really, you going to ask me that in front of all these people and have me share my personal information? And she's like, no, I'm just asking, ma'am, how can I help you or something? And I just think she does have a rude tone, especially toward the black people, and it's been black females all out of last week. So the lady got upset or whatever and went to go sit down, and she called her unprofessional and said that she doesn't know who she's talking to, and something else. I couldn't really hear all of what she said, but she said, I shouldn't use that word because she called her a B word. She called the white woman a B. And I just think, just off of that one interaction, that caused, of course, that day a lot of unusual gossip. Well, I won't say unusual because, see, when it's a black person, it's always going to be exaggerated. It's going to be extended. It's going to go into more racism. And what I mean by that is it was the gossiping was so strong that the third co-worker, see, it's me, a black female, and a white female. So the black female and the white female, they tend to talk with each other a lot and consider each other so-called friends. The black female was on her lunch break. She was on a lunch break at the time. And she came back, and based off of what the white person shared about the interaction, the black female was like, oh, I'm glad I wasn't here. I would have, quote unquote, went off. And she didn't see anything. She just, took the white person word on how the interaction went, when really the white person wasn't conducting, at least in my opinion, she wasn't conducting, standard and correct customer service to the black person. She was already taking photographs of two other black people. All right. So they were her and about maybe two or three other white people. They're talking about in all details about this black customer, and even had the black person believing their racism. And, I think this person, in my opinion, is confused. So she had, an unfavorable point of view of this black customer. So the customer came back the next day and was talking to someone on a high level, admin level. And she just was, sharing the interaction with the white woman. So by the end of the day, they still ended up talking about the customer again, and even making comparison between the black female customer and the black female that works in the area. So even going into all of these racist descriptions, and then one of the white females was trying to say, oh, well, I don't know, how shall I say this? And, I just think she was trying too hard and she was being too black. That's what one of the white females said. And then the other white female said in front of the victim that, oh, that's why when I'm dating someone, she didn't say who, when I'm dating someone, if they have a black baby mom, I don't want to talk to them. Okay? So the black person is quiet and not really saying anything. And then a white woman comes in, overweight white woman, okay, with a black guy, and I guess they are a couple. So when the couple leaves, she's saying, oh, well, y'all two are cool, but that right there I can't stand. So it just got really tacky. But I say that to say there was a white woman, I guess, a Russian sounding name. She was coming in threatening to sue the people in the clerk's office courthouse. Y'all don't want to help me. Argumentative, condescending, calling names, saying one person is a damage control lady. She was banned from the state attorney. They didn't have these kind of conversations about what white person is this and they're being too white and everything. Say they didn't show that same effort and enthusiasm, of course, for that white woman that was coming in like every day about how something wasn't filed right. She's filing like 300-page documents, and getting in arguments and being just very rude toward the staff. And I don't recall, of course, these white people, of course, I know they're not going to do that, but just making a comparison from weeks and weeks Now, it's two courthouses. This white chick was going from the courthouse where I'm at into another courthouse, bothering them and saying what they're not doing and how the white people act like they don't want to help her. They even showing that they're annoyed by her, but they aren't talking about, other white people, and I don't see black people doing it on the job. Like how this one black customer was in there for 1 or 2 days, and it brought about all of this type of conversation. And along with that, another black customer came in and wanted to get married and had a question about marriage ceremonies and that they had a designated pastor to conduct the ceremony, to preside over that ceremony, and could they do it at the courthouse? So there are ways and protocols that that could be done. And the victim of racism, she shows a lot of the confusion. She talked bad about this black customer. When she left, she says, that is the woman that complained on me, and I don't want to help her. I don't want anything to do with her. And this is, during the same time, another black person just came in. So at least by Friday, it was at least about 4 black ladies that then came in and shared major concern about how they were talked to, how they were treated by the staff at our front counters. And then at the same time, still, they're posting these gnomes and everything. I have 2 more I'd like to share, Gus. This white woman, who I suspect is a racist, she was helping a white person. And you know how they have something called the escrow account, and then it's another category in the program we use to do transactions for if somebody want to get a copy of something. This person works for the county works, public works. So this white person, the same suspected racist, okay? And what she'll do, she'll just speak almost, confidently, like, hey, this is what it is, and I'm unable to find this account on the escrow. I don't know where it's at. And I'm trying to look it up, and nothing's coming up, okay? And the white customer is like, hey, I know it's got to be in there somewhere. We have a public works account. So the black person intervenes, the person who has the most longevity in the area, okay, and was like, within maybe 15 seconds, she's like, oh, if there's anything on the counter, you might want to look under the voucher account area. So the white person, I'm quite sure a lot of people on the line have been working around white people that don't want to ask a black person how to do something. They've been there longer. I'm white. I already know what the deal is. I already know the answer. So I'm thinking she felt almost humiliated. Dang, this black person just told me where to find it in like 15 seconds. And she was with this customer like almost 25 minutes. So she said, yeah, it's under the voucher. And the black person walks away. And she said, just make sure you look under there for the voucher. And she says, like, okay, like that in a very kind of nonchalant, indifferent, I guess, type of tone. So she didn't even say thank you or nothing, of course. And she ended up giving the person their receipt and everything. I went up on my morning break after that one. And my last one I'd like to share is I noticed a change in the front counter area on the side where it's the civil area, where they come to file paperwork. The white people, I noticed they were a lot more talkative with each other. Because it's usually 3 black people that work at that counter. All right. So today, they all were off. All this week they've been off. And I noticed the white people were talking a lot more. They were showing their white code, because usually they'll go into the corner somewhere, or they'll go into the bathroom, or they'll have a white woman. Now, a victim told me they'll have a white woman signal that something isn't working at the copy machine. And the copy machine is next to the bathroom. So they'll go all and meet in the bathroom, 2 or 3 of the same white chicks. So they still kind of course, have their code going on. And other than that, that's been some of the things that's been happening this week. And that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak.
Gang activity in the lavatory. Dang. Much obliged, caller at the courthouse. They get rowdy with the black, and it's the white women that are in tragic arrangements with black dudes get rowdy with the black females at the courthouse and talking slick and don't want to help them and all the rest of it. Like, dang. And I mean, again, now this is the courthouse. Now, if this was at, Arby's, Target, the liquor store, whatever. I might feel, but I mean, dang, the courthouse, that's kind of serious, I mean, all kinds, marriage license, death certificate, all kinds of really important information, deeds and all the passport photographs. It's really important. This is something where we shouldn't be, I'm be racist and hostile to all the black females that I see, especially if Leroy got on my nerves today, then you really gonna get the double whammy. What? Now, even that right there, because he said apparently it's a number of these race soldier white chicks, they maximum racist aggression, all this bedroom terrorism, and then they come and laugh and giggle with some of the black people at work. Some of the black people at work. That should stick out. Like, wait a minute now. You do all this bedroom integration, maybe even marry a black fella, and then come in and are hostile to black people. Wait a minute. Like, time out, time out, time out. What is going on here? Why are you being so nasty and hostile to these black people? Apparently that doesn't, compute. He said that, in fact, they flip it around and blame the black patrons and say that they were being hostile and nasty and, all the rest of it. And I have seen that where he said that one of the black co-workers, she actually wasn't present when all this happened, and the black female got upset because it seemed like the white woman was not being professional, courteous with her, and just kind of, I talk to you while I'm doing something else and just put your business all out in front of everybody. She might have private, might have to get social security number, all kinds of things sometimes. She's not going to give you the same one-on-one attention that you would get if you were a white patron. She said she called her the B word, she's storming out or what have you. She said this became gossip for the whole day and all this, and the black female didn't observe all this, so when they go to tell her what happened, they give the racist slant, lie about it. And the black is like, oh, really? I can't believe, I wish she would have been here and tried that on. That is so common, where that's all it takes. A white person says this is what happened. That's it. Ain't no investigation of the other side or even suspicion. Maybe they're lying about this. Maybe they're practicing racism right now. I used to be like that too, but that is very, very, that's how O.J. Simpson. So they gossip about this for the entire day, probably the rest of the year. They're going to gossip about this, and he even said that they began to compare and contrast the black female patron who came in and was mistreated, compare and contrast her to another black female in the office. I said, damn, especially if this was, if they were comparing her to the black female that they got upset with recently and said, I'm tired of you calling me a racist. Now, I don't know if they were comparing the black patron, to that female specifically, but either way, like, really? This random episode that happens where really you weren't even conducting your job correctly, but whatever. We're going to blame it on this black female. So, yeah, these niggers all remember. That's just like Peggy that day. She got that same sort of nigger attitude. Black and different. Wow. If it had been a white one, he's told us about unruly white people even before the Russian. Did they get compared to other no-count white people that you have in the office? Come on. Come on. And then when this happens, I was even thinking, we, meaning black people, have an unfavorable view of black people. It's not just white people, black people. That's how we have been conditioned. It's many other incidents. He's told us before, black people talking in the courthouse, wishing death on their black child's father, black father. Man, I mean, the anti-blackness is rife, and we have an unfavorable view of black people. So, yeah, super easy for us to side with race soldiers, almost under any conditions. Let's see. When he said that about the being too black, I said the same thing. Too white. What? When that white woman came in and I'm a sovereign citizen and you don't tell me what to do and blah, blah, blah. And they had bulletins about her in advance and they didn't even press the panic button on her and come clob her with the nigger knocker. Was she being too white? Did they compare her to, other white women in the office? At least that white woman who threw the orange juice in the lady's face. I don't remember them doing all that. Now, when he said, I did get a little thrown off. I said, I'm going to have to make sure I get it together. She said, when I'm dating someone, I don't talk to them if they got a black baby's mama. Well, wait. I thought he was talking about this was a black person at first. And I said, no, wait a minute. This has got to be one of the race soldier white chicks saying, I do not date no black dude if he has a black baby's mama. Was this a white chick who said this?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the one with the Twix T-shirt, the white woman. And if I could add this, Gus, this person also tried to say, oh well, if she in reference to the black person who she manipulated that wasn't there, if she was here, she wouldn't have acted that way, meaning the black customer. And she did that, and she tried to say because of this, I guess because she's white. So she was practicing racism in that way too, trying to say that because I think she was being a racist in that interaction.
Wow. White people are not ignorant about racism. Imagine that. We'd had the black girl here. Yeah, we could have put her on. You would have behaved yourself. All that. Just, are you serious? You're just racist. Got it. How about if I had done my job correctly and given her the attention that I give every white patron that comes here, maybe none of this would have happened. Nah. Even making a comment like that, like seriously, I mean, what? Like, what? I mean, imagine a Renthal James. He's in the workplace. He said, I date a white chick or two, but I mean, I go talk to a white woman, and she got a white dude as a baby's daddy. Keep on walking, sister. Keep on walking. I know you got all kinds. What? What?
Comfortable.
Come on. To even say something like that, come on. Jeez. I mean, I don't know how many black dudes out there that you are going to find who do not have a black mother. Maybe there are 2 or 3 of them out there. I haven't met any, but I mean, if you really got that much of a problem with black females, maybe you don't need no black dude at all. What's going to happen if you all have a child and it turns out to be a black female? Be somebody really melanated, look like Serena Williams. Come on. Coming in again now. To have white people around who make those sort of comments all the time, compare black people to monkeys and that sort of thing, and the other black people hear this and don't really think anything of it. They think these are cool white chicks, not racist. Heck, not all white people are racist. And she said that. She said that. The black female came back and she said she saw the tubby white woman come in with the black dude. Oh, this is the vilest thing in the history of the world. Oh. And she said, I'm going to tell you. Now, you two are okay. But I hate it. But the time, why are these two okay? Give me the demarcation. What exactly makes it okay some of the time? Is it they got to be cool? They're cool with you at least. You know these white chicks. Like, you got to tell me what's the difference. What is as long as they're not obese white chicks, what's the difference where these two are okay? But that right there. Confusion is lethal. Incidentally, I wouldn't even say that. It's no reason to say that at all. Even if you do understand counter-racist logic that is incorrect, and these 2 other chicks over here are incorrect too, but it's no reason to say any of that. I haven't heard anybody get a raise off of that either. Might even slip into some anti-blackness where they do the same thing, start focusing on the victim. No count Leroy. That's the best you can do is go get some tubby white chick. Incorrect focus completely, which might have been what she was thinking anyway, but, whatever. Won't cast assumptions and such. But the real important, but these two are not an exception. Not at all. I mean, especially if you're going to go out publicly now. If Leroy got some old Negro woman that he didn't have a child, beat it, Leroy. Beat it. But nope, they are no exception. Racist just like that tubby white woman. Let's see. He told us about the Russian. He had told us before. Now, that it is important to have the Russian white woman. She can come and get rowdy and threaten to sue people and all that in the courthouse, and they didn't press the panic button and bust her upside the head, nor did they compare her to other white people and laugh and joke and gossip about her the rest of the day. But he had told us about a lot of white people who had done this, and I mean dangerous white people apparently, where they had like bulletins and memos and had to have meetings and security protocols and all that. They didn't even do all that then. They didn't call the police when they came up there and got rowdy and were going in, areas where they were trespassing. Come on.
Yep.
Let's see. Excuse me. Pardon. He said they still got the gnomes up. He told us about that a few weeks ago, where people had read. See, all these patrons coming up and making reports, really about racism, saying that black females being mistreated, and then the gnomes look like Klansmen and all that. All this for the month of December. Like, man, we need to really do some soul searching. I mean, we can't have people coming up here every other day saying we're doing something racist and mistreating black patrons. Dang. And they still got the gnomes. And see, that's the sort of thing. White defiance. And it's not even Christmas anymore. It's not even Christmas. Like, come on. They're going to weaponize. That's when I said the black female, when they said the black female who they mistreated, and she got upset about it, and they said, that old mouthy nigger woman, she just like old Rhonda. And I said, is the black female that they accused said, hey, I'm tired of you calling us racist, even though she didn't say that. And then they took the gnomes, and they turned and pointed them at this black female. That's who I was talking about earlier. And he said they still got him up. Supposed to have taken him down. Even before we got to, we're going to weaponize him as a racist gang to point at this black female. You're supposed to take him home. People think they're racist. They're Klansmen. Take them home. You don't tell me what to do. I'll wear my Grinch leggings if I want to. You don't tell me what to do. You probably break out her. I'm going to wear my FAMU shirts. ring in the new year. You don't tell me what to do. I'm a white woman. You don't tell me what to do. You boss them niggers around. You go and tell them, how to spend their PTO time and when to come in, and you can't work from home and all. You don't tell me what to do. Go have a meeting, right? He said they got the code. With the code, they got the copy broke. They're trying to tell me I can't take the gnome. He lost his mind. Take gnomes. I don't take the gnomes down. We'll bring more gnomes in. In fact, we'll bring more of them. Put them pointed at his desk. You don't tell me what to do. Please. Organize at the copier, girls. Organize at the copier. At the copier. That right now, that's another, especially we talked about last week. Imagine that. Black people got a code. We're going to go meet at the, we're going to go meet on the steps out back. Yeah, they've been talking bad at it. Gentlemen, we're going to go meet out the, what? All the white people see all the black people, or at least, just see 3 or 4 of us. Leroy done put his mop and plunger down. Get up, we all go walk to the back. Got to go check in real quick. What? All of us be fired the same day? Like, get out of here. Get out of here. Come on. Come on. Anyway, man, much obliged. That right there, too, is why it's United Independent. You see how frequently he and other people have said black people that they work with have white homies. You see that? We are not United Independent in the workplace, man. None of us, you can't be thinking that, or even expecting that they're going to be courteous and whatever. You expect anti-blackness. You expect that they're going to be looking out for their white homies, and no support, no sympathy, no nothing. And I mean, particularly some of the commentary and such that gets made, that everybody makes in this environment. But yeah, even for a white person to be comfortable making those types of statements in front of black people, I wouldn't talk to a black person. They had a black baby mom and that sort of thing, and I know this victim of racism. They are so conditioned. Say that all. I could have said I don't date no niggers. They didn't had sex with a nigger. No, I don't do that. Conditioned. I know we got them. Now that coon over there in the corner, that nigger boy. You got to keep an eye on that one. We don't have homies in the workplace. Because, I mean, he's told us a bunch of those. He's told, like, every other week it seems. He'll tell us one with these white people. They say some, like, pretty, it's not refined. It's like comparing black people to monkeys. Like, wild stuff. And you grounded. You're listening to white people music. You're grounded. That sort of thing all the time. Like, I do not think you are too cool. I'm not going to be joking around with you. I'm going to keep an eye on you. Like, we are not friends. We are co-workers, and that's that. No, this is my white friend, and right on. She is definitely, not all white people are racist. I don't even like interracial couples, but they're cool on that too. We always find ways of making exceptions. We always find ways of making exceptions for white people. We always find reasons for making exceptions. Sometimes we don't even find reasons, but we still make exceptions for racist white people.
Hey, Gus, can I add something?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And this is very interesting too. I know you mentioned the white woman that was wearing the orange and green FAMU T-shirt. She was one of them. She was the one that said the customer was acting too black. The same one.
Oh, was that it? Did I hear? Was that all you were going to share? The FAMU shirt, race soldier, is the one who said she was too black.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. She was speaking with the other white female, and they both, it looks like, exclusively date black dudes, and that is everything.
Exclusively. Wow. Wow. Well, did she go to FAMU? Is that how she... I can't do it. That's how she pick up black dudes. I put my family... I can't live. I can't live. Woo! Man, I'm through. And is that the same chick that makes the soap? The one that wears the FAMU shirts?
Oh, and that's another one too. That's a different one, and
Oh,
they
okay.
all in the same game. Yes, sir.
Okay. Wild. Wearing the see now see that would just add to the confusion. See now they're sexually sewering all these black people, and then they the FAMU shirt and all the rest of it. Like what? Well, what? And then gonna be defiant with the FAMU shirt too. Like I got to wear I got to support the Rattlers. Get out of here, man. Woo! I can't do. But see, you gonna do that and then come back and say that she was just too black. What? What does that mean? Go to FAM. Where did you learn that at FAMU? Did they teach that at FAMU? Too black. Come on, man. Come on. It does not get any better than like all day, even Christmas. Tacky. Too black. And I mean, wow, they got the gnomes, too black, black babies. Like they got extra tacky for the month of that's why I see that right there. Young academic where he said, nope, I'm not doing no hanging out. I don't do none of that. That right there. That's the best you can hope for. The absolute best you could hope for. Maybe they can keep it together for 30 seconds to give you a fake smile. How you doing? Okay, did you have a safe holiday? Maybe you can get through safe holiday and blah, blah, blah. You had some good eggnog. Okay. Anything over 30 seconds, that's where we're headed. Some combination of that. Inevitable. Any part of the world. Very unfortunate, but that Partygate, they got whole movies about this in the UK. Get together and get drunk and all. Even under COVID-19, we got a global health pandemic. Got to get together for some debauchery. Come on, man. Any hoodles. Much obliged, our caller at the courthouse. Make sure we did not miss anyone. Anybody has any suggestions based on what we have heard? I know that can be really dangerous in the workplace if you are confused, if there are white people, male or female, if they're in a tragic arrangement where sometimes our automatic default is, oh, that's another exception. That is a white person who can't be a racist because they're having sex with a white person. Presumably they're not raping a black child like we heard from young academic, but they can't be racist because they're having sex with a non-white person. Any hoodles, that can be super confusing for non-white people in the workplace. And I think we've even heard with some white people, it seems like they kind of use that to advantage to confound non-white people so they won't be suspicious of them. Like, oh yeah, I got one of you at home. Like, hey, I'm one of the good ones. I'm one of the exceptions, remember? Any hoodles, we will be here in roughly about 20 hours. Be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Compensatory call-in. We will review our last full week of 2024. See what's been going down this week. Updates with the Luigi Mangione shooting up in New York. Suspected white terrorist. And the rest of the updates from the past 7 days, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific this Saturday. Drop a line if you have updates, even in the archives, untiljustice@gmail.com, untiljustice@gmail.com. Make sure we didn't miss any folks. Commentary, questions, observations. Everybody good? Satisfied, I should say. Grant. We will be here on Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Again, sobriety would be best. Under conditions of white supremacy racism, they will have sobriety checkpoints out. I know at least in this part of the world, maybe other parts too. Definitely if you are in the U.S. so-called, oh yeah. And if you are a younger driver, you do not want to be classified as black, and it's after 10 o'clock, 10:30, dark. You do not want to be out and about it really anytime now to next year. And have to answer questions, talk to a race soldier, badge or no, about what you're doing, where you're going, what you've been up to, who else is in the car, whose car is this. Forget all of that. Stay in the house. You got to do the shindig. Find a location where everybody can come, hang out, and then leave the following morning safely, sober. Be on your way. Start the day fresh. Pass that along. Even older people, really. Like, you do not want to be going out the club and all of that and then get stopped 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And even, hey, this time of year, you will have more intoxicated folks on the road going to their parties, end of the year bashes and all of that. Try to avoid that, not contribute to that as best you can. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No name-calling black people. No gossiping. No throwaway offspring to be raped by white people. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.